back to the YellowCard Vanguard channel. I'm your host, Toku from It's Toku TV on Twitch. Every Monday, I'm streaming Vanguard content, and the past few Mondays, we've been brewing up clan collection lists and testing them. So swing on by to be part of the process. Today's video will be featuring Raging Form Dragon and Revenger support. Shadow Paladin, since its induction in the V format, has been riddled with a bunch of 2-for-1s as their method of advantage, from a Phantom Blaster Dragon, Mordred, to Cleric Sword, to Luard. Nowadays though, if you're not playing Luard, then you're just having fun. Can Raging Form Dragon change that? Starting us off on the new support is Raging Form Dragon. When placed on Vanguard Circle, limit to break 4. That's a term I haven't said in a while. Counterblast 1 and search your deck for a grade 2 or lower Revenger and call it to rear. Second effect lets you retire 3 Revengers to rewrite a grade 3 Revenger from hand. In a vacuum, RFD is really good. In a single turn, assuming you don't heal out of LB4, you can get 3 Vanguard swing, and even if you don't meet LB4, being able to double restand on your first turn at 3 is nothing to scoff at either, if you're able to get high value and cheap Revenger names onto the board. His problem comes from micro issues. Having to ride from hand requires you to have multiple copies in hand at the start of your turn or through your drive check, and the other being how restrictive RFD is towards the Revenger name. In the V format, there is only RFD and Mordred as ride targets, and unfortunately, Blaster Dark Revenger doesn't exist yet either. Still, being able to triple Vanguard attack on a Force deck is something most decks would kill for. The new grade 2 is Dark Cloak Revenger Twin Tails. When she is placed from hand, you can Soulblast 1 to superior call a grade 1 or less Revenger from deck, and at the end of turn, that unit is retired. Once again, in a vacuum, this card is really good. Soulblast 1 to superior call is insane advantage. However, she's the poor target to superior call herself as she needs to be from hand and thus won't lead to easy RFD chaining. Regardless, she does have Revenger in name. The new grade 1 is Dark Armor Revenger, Rino. When the attack that he boosts or attacks hits Vanguard, you can tutor the top 3 of your deck to find a Revenger and the rest go to the bottom. When he's retired from Circle, by our card effect, we can Soul Blast 1 to force our opponent to retire one of their rearguards as well. His first effect is pretty good, makes him a really good ride going second, and a good booster every other turn. Unfortunately, it is on a Vanguard hit rate and not a generic on hit. Most importantly though, he is a Revenger. We then have the grade 3 heal trigger, Astral Chain Dragon, not a Revenger. Similarly to most of the Heal Guardians, this is meta and matchup depending on which one you take between this and the grade 0. I don't think this one is necessarily mandatory in Raging Form Dragon. Let's go straight into the core with our win con and philosophy. On our best turn, we can do 3 Vanguard swings. If we have a full Revenger board, we'll sack 3, our RFD will superior call another Revenger from deck, to give us another 3 for the third RFD or Mordred attack. Unfortunately, the fact of the matter is there is some anti-synergy between triple RFD and Mordred. If we wanted to do both RFD and Mordred for the turn, we'd have to line up our plays to swing with Blaster Dark boosted by full Revenger back row, and then reride Mordred, which would then restand our Blaster Darks. Unfortunately, the anti-synergy is here too, as we won't be able to get any bonus force markers from the Blaster Darks we already have on board. As such, I think the triple Vanguard swing with increasing power from force markers stacking would probably be the best method of action for this deck. Let's take a dive into the core. This is somewhat easy to build, as we're just looking for the best Revenger names for our value off of RFD's retire costs, and also a full set of grade 3 Revengers to make sure we don't miss off of the reride. We've got a full playset of RFD as our boss unit, a full playset of Mordred as an alternative rewrite, and to plus off of our grade 2 Masquerades, which we will usually call off of RFD's skill. As an alternative win con, we are running 1 copy of Danger Lunge Dragon. With Raging Form, it's fairly easy to get the amount of force markers and a grade 3 in soul that we need for Danger Lunge condition. And with the crit and guard restrict, he might just be the pressure we need to close out games. For our Revenger names, we are running 4 copies of Nullity Revenger Masquerade. This is a really good grade 2 in this shell to help us get pluses into our hand when we ride, or when we call him off of RFD. He's also a solo 13k attacker. We've also got 4 of the new grade 1, Rino, a versatile pressure unit that is just a good Revenger name to retire off of RFD. We're running 3 copies of Transient Revenger Masquerade as part of the Blaster Dark Mordred game plan, but also another Revenger to sack off. We've got 2 copies of Tartu, as a name that brings us another grade 1 or less Revenger Force value town with RFD. Unfortunately, her skill to call from hand can't lead to big Raging Form turns, so we're running a smaller amount of her. Finally, a non-negotiable trigger choice in the deck is Grim Revenger as a critical. A, because it's a Revenger name, and B, because it is 5k power, thus being able to get called up in the main when we're in a pinch to get names on them. Speaking of the main, Shadow Paladins has always been able to cheat the game, and the main is the source of cheating. Since we're not on the Luard, we are opted to lean into the main. With 4 copies of the main in the main, that word is starting to get weird. We hope to open at least one to get us into our superior ride game plan. We've included 1 copy of Freezing Witch Bendy, 1 copy of Dumphood Dragon, 1 copy of Phantom Blaster Dragon, and 4 copies of Blaster Dark, since we are on Mordred as our alternative boss, and we do run the Grade 2 Masquerade, so we want higher amounts of hit counts. Realistically, this deck looks to go fast and hard to end the game before your opponent can stabilize. Since there's no way to recycle Raging Forms, our game plan will then descend to Mordred and Blaster Dark spam. There's sadness in the fact that there is distinct anti-synergy between the Mordred package and the Raging Form requirements to make a clean and streamlined game plan for the deck. Regardless, Shadow Paladins have the benefit of being in the same clan that the main is in, and as such, will always have access to something as fun, fair, and balanced as the Phantom Blaster Dragon ride skip. I think because of that fact, this deck is still formidable enough to take names. It's hard to compete for recognition when you are competing against Luard, and it seems that we are basically just in the waiting room for a new Blaster Dark Revenger whose name is treated as Blaster Dark as well. In any case, thanks for finishing the entire video. I hope my insights were insightful for the deck, and I will catch you tomorrow for the next segment of Clan Collection. Toku out.